The satisfying death of sneaker culture. Let's see, bro.
Just
Let's see
over
what
a
he's
decade
saying.
ago, Kanye West and Adidas released the Yeezy Boost 350 Turtle Dove, a shoe which, in my opinion, symbolized one of the craziest cultural moments ever. The hype beast era. Brands like Supreme and Nike were causing riots. Kids in school were showing up in fake Yeezys.
That's a good point, bro. Like that shoe, I guess that does represent like the modern peak of like sneaker culture. I was watching this video the other day. I wasn't even really watching the video. It was like I saw it on my feed, and it was this Adidas executive, and he was talking about like this was, I guess he was referring to back to when like, you know, Kanye and Adidas were working together, and he said he was basically just like, yo, like we released, I think it was like the Yeezy 350s V2s, and he said that they dropped a restock, I guess through like, you know, the Adidas whatever their app was, and by this time I had already kind of checked out of like sneaker culture, to be honest. I was just like, let me just leave this stuff alone because it's getting crazy. But he said that they dropped one shoe and they did 350 something million dollars. It might have been like 320, I don't know, over like almost $500 million in one day off of one shoe. And I think that just kind of like speaks to like how big sneakers got. I don't think anybody could build up that amount of hype besides Kanye. I think he's the only person that can do that. Yeah, Kanye's the only person that can do something like that. And even he couldn't even really recreate that with his own stuff. So maybe sneaker culture really is dead at this point. Like it's not like they're not doing 350 million off of one shoe. Like they cashed in on that for sure. But I would say like sneaker culture died for, these are my like top 3 reasons. Maybe I'll come up with more. 1, the hype cycle just died. You had all these brands releasing all these different sneakers and people just stopped caring. It was almost like a saturation of the market. 2, I guess as a byproduct of the oversaturation, fakes got better because they released so many shoes that, you know, the knockoffs or the factories, they could just make the shoe in plethora because there was so many floating around that they could just easily knock them off. Some people say like those are the same factories, which is also an argument. Then is there a third one that I could think of? Oh, I would say that people just don't care as much about sneakers. It's all about like your whole fit now. So people are into more like avant-garde, maybe more like obscure brands, high fashion stuff. Like people are wearing like fake knockoffs of that, and people still care about shoes, but it's more about like designer shoes instead of like sneakers. I feel like sneakers are kind of seen as like, no offense to anybody, but like I've heard someone say that sneakers and Jordans are like low class, which I feel like that's a very like ignorant take. And this is probably coming from somebody who really isn't into fashion. They're probably into like, what is it, old money, clean girl, you know what I'm saying? Like this whole like, I would say even far right fashion takes. But those are my like top 3 reasons, or however many I gave, for why sneaker culture died. Let's see if this video touches on it though.
People were dressing like this, or even this. But what tied all of these crazy streetwear pieces together was the
Interestingly enough though, I would say a lot of this stuff is coming back. Like since it's been, what, 10 years since 2016, I have been seeing people kind of like go back to like the early, you know, that era of fashion. I don't know if people are doing it to kind of, I guess because it's nostalgic now. I guess people have like, you know, people are obsessed with nostalgia. But I am seeing this stuff come back.
shoes. I mean, you weren't gonna pop out in Off-White, Supreme, and have Nike Huaraches on. That would have been crazy in 2016. Sneakers were at the core of the hypebeast streetwear fashion trend. I mean, literally every single influencer, celebrity, and YouTuber.
And then to even kind of build more on my last point, like sneakers to me are like an entryway into fashion. And I think a lot of people got into fashion because of sneakers, and now they're into fashion now. And they like, sneakers are just like an afterthought. I would say though, don't forget your roots. Like, there's nothing wrong with a good like pair of like, you know what I'm saying, maybe not walking around in the Air Mags or the Dior ones, but like, you know what I'm saying, like some shoes are evergreen, like the 3s, the 1s, the 4s, the 6s, the 8, like it's so many. And I'm talking about Jordan Retros, if you don't know. It's so many like classics that will never die. Even the Stan Smiths, those need to come back. But anyways, yeah, let me see.
I followed at that time was wearing Yeezys or Human Races or Jordans or Nike Dunks or some dope ass shoe. And if you were super into shoes, you were dubbed a sneakerhead. The 2010s were the perfect time to be a sneakerhead, with the community and culture being at its peak. But nowadays, it's like no one cares anymore. No one's rioting outside of pop-up shops. There's no crazy hype for a new sneaker release. And craziest of all, a lot of these super
sneakers no longer command sky high prices on the secondary market.
Shoes that sold for thousands lost all of their value. So what happened to the sneakerheads, the sneaker economy, and the
sneakerheads became crypto bros. That's one.
the entirety of the hypebeast era? Well, I think that there are 4 main reasons all of this died, with the first reason being thanks to sneaker resale.
Not gonna lie though, like seeing this, because like I was somebody that I just like sneakers like growing up, but I was not paying some reseller $200 over retail ever to get shoes. I was probably gonna be on Railed or like Nike Talk or trying to like get the shoe for like a normalish price. Even GOAT now makes it a lot easier, but like I hated this era of sneakers. Like I absolutely hated it because it felt like I was getting scammed for just being interested in, and I get supply and demand, but it just, I don't know, I just didn't like it. Let me know what y'all think about it though.
Collecting sneakers and sneakerhead culture has been around for a long time, and it roughly began in the 70s. But things really started going crazy once Jordans were introduced in the 80s. Air Jordans were produced by Nike, inspired by basketball star Michael Jordan, and the first shoe they released was the iconic Jordan 1. Of course, around this time, other shoes were sought after too, like Converse.
Dang, is it crazy to say like Jordan was the first influencer that really like had a real push or a real collaboration with like a brand? Because I know, like, I don't know, like they say I think he had to deal with Converse first, but I guess yeah, he was the first. Let me know if I'm wrong, and I could look this up, and I don't feel like doing it. Was Jordan the first fashion influencer? Michael Jordan
And other brands that I'm forgetting
I
right
think he
now.
was,
But let's
though.
be real here, Jordans were the cream of the crop. According to National Geographic,
And when I say fashion influence, I mean like not influencing how you dress, but like the first celebrity person with influence to actually have a stamped product with their name on it and them pushing it in a way where like you're like, oh, I want to buy those because he's wearing them.
reason, they said sneaker culture began to take off beyond the basketball court too. When the influential hip-hop group Run DMC released their single My Adidas in 1986, it earned the group a first-of-its-kind endorsement deal with the brand. Soon after, Kurt Cobain of the grunge band Nirvana made Converse.
Hold on, was this before the Jordan 1? Let me look this up. When did the Air Jordan 1 first come out? 1985. Okay, so it was around the same time, and it came out for $65. That was probably expensive back then too.
a symbol of rebellion and youth.
Let me see. What's $65 adjusted for inflation for today? Does that even make sense?
According to inflation calculator, $65 in 2020.
$65 in 1985 adjusted for inflation today. That was $200. Dang. Okay. Yeah. That was a lot of money.
Sneakers were popularized and glamorized by
198 or 196. Yeah, it's around that range. All right.
celebrities, especially athletes and musicians, who set the trends and influenced the culture. This generated excitement for sneakers. People coveted certain shoes that the youth deemed cool, and kids started collecting them. The companies realized this, so companies like Nike, Adidas, and more began releasing limited edition sneakers.
Kids were camping out in front of shoe stores, much like this episode of HBO's Entourage.
I don't get it. All these people are online for sneakers? Oh, yeah. Some of them probably even camped out all night for sneakers. Vince, these ain't just sneakers. These are limited edition Fuki Jamas. Fuki whatas?
In some cities, they were breaking down doors, rioting. Some were even arrested.
If someone gets hurt in front of a Nike store, you're gonna blame Nike. You can't get hurt clicking a button.
The reason they would do this is to drive up demand and the forbidden H word, hype. If 200 people wanted the shoe and they
Bro,
only
I still want these.
sold one,
These
and the forbidden H word, hype. If 200
this shoe is so rare that there's like not even good fakes, good dupes of the Yeezy 1. I would say that's because like nobody can get like none of the factories can get a good sample or a blueprint to make the copies. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I would wear a fake Yeezy 1, especially if it's 1-to-1. I'd pay like, I don't know, I paid more than I would pay retail for a pair of like Jordans to get a fake version of this shoe. Like that's how much I really want this shoe.
people wanted the shoe and they only sold 100, resellers in the aftermarket could mark up those shoes.
Because
Maybe
now they're going for like a few bands, I think. Like, what's the cheapest? Let's see if we can find the cheapest. Nike Air Yeezy 1 used for sale. Yeah, the cheapest I could find is $1,100. And that's not even my size. Then they got some like dead stock for like 6,000. 7 bands? Come on, bro. Yeah, give me a fake.
100 of those
I don't
200
care.
people couldn't quite afford the new price, but the other 100 could. And this is where the problem began. For a long time, resellers, or their less pleasant name, scalpers, weren't the worst thing in the sneaker community, and they weren't as hated as they are today. If anything, them marking up shoes an extra chunk of change made the sneaker community more intense.
No.
It made waiting in line for a brand new pair.
By the time they had like these kind of like resellers where they were using bots, I would say sneaker culture had already been gentrified, bro. When it went mainstream, when it started getting to the point where like, and it's not even like I'm like broke. It's like I'm in high school trying to get this stuff. I'm not paying $500, $300, whatever it was for like a pair of Jordans, bro. Like I get supply and demand, but it was just like, I'm glad this
all the more
era is
thrilling.
over.
And it helped to inflate the artificial value of these shoes since they were even more expensive than the retail price. But for the most part, sneakerheads and everyone in the community, even the resellers, were pretty into shoes. Buy, sell, trade was the motto for a lot of these people, collecting and trading sneakers like they were Pokemon cards. And honestly, it was a pretty cool community until it got infiltrated. It's kind of hard to put a timestamp on this, but I'd say roughly the early 2010s is when the sneaker community started to get really hot, especially thanks to social media and pop culture. It was in this time period that sneaker brands like Jordan, Nike, and others were picking up even more steam. Simultaneously, streetwear brands and streetwear fashion was taking off, with Supreme, Bape, Off-White, and more picking up steam. Or Palace, do you guys remember Palace? That was fire. Any and everyone was jumping onto the streetwear and sneaker hype train. Again,
I feel like he not really like, I ain't gonna say like he don't know, but like Alex is still around. Like
with Supreme, Bape, Off-White, and more picking
I
up
still wear all this stuff, by the way.
steam. Or Palace, do you guys remember Palace? That was fire. Any and everyone was
Palace is, well, I ain't gonna say their stuff is nice now. Like their stuff is really nice.
jumping onto the streetwear
I don't know what he says when he says like was.
and sneaker hype
Or what he
train.
means by that.
Again, according to Nat Geo, the Kardashian era had a huge impact on the culture. It helped target a whole new demographic of people to experience sneaker culture. It was a blending of high and low fashion, which the shoe industry
Yeah, now the Kardashian era, definitely, that's when you get like the peak $300 million day drops on a pair of Yeezys. I would say the Kardashian era ushered in all of that for sneakers.
has never
For
really
sure,
seen before.
bro.
Because of all these people getting involved, the forbidden H word I mentioned was getting bigger, and everyone was becoming a hype beast. The term hype beast had actually been around since the mid 2000s, and originally it was a derogatory term for people who just followed streetwear trends. But eventually it was embraced by these sorts of people who were proud to be hype beasts.
Tell me the difference between the kids today versus what you were doing 35 years ago.
These kids today don't seem like they want the shoes. They want the thing that goes along with having the shoes. Somebody figured out that there's money.
I will say though, like that argument, like regardless, like even if I do like the shoe just because I like the shoe, I can't say I like it any more or less than somebody who's like a hype beast. Some people even call me a hype beast. But like if I get the shoe, you're able to identify me as somebody who has an interest in the shoes. So that's what comes with liking the shoes. It's almost like me having these makes me part of like a certain community and other people that I could talk to. Like the same thing goes for like with car guys. You got like guys that are like, you know, like hype beast car guys. They get the Porsche 911s, they get the BMWs, you know what I'm saying? They get the B58, whatever. They get those cars, and it's like it does signal to like other people that you're in. So like his argument is like there's nothing wrong with that because it's still like at the end of the day you have an interest in something so much so to the point where you're willing to spend money on it. So and be part of a community of other people that feel the same way. So I don't like the whole, like I do agree that like high beast culture ruined stuff, but only because it just made the prices terrible for everybody. Really, I'm just being like facetious about it. His take is still kind of like old head, like nah, like these youngins don't know, like they weren't watching when Jordan dropped 50. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't be on that. Nah. If you like something, get it.
For a pair of sneakers because of this hype.
The hype is generated by Nike, which denied Nightline's request to talk about its strategy. For prize sneakers, they make a limited supply, driving up the aftermarket price tag.
Another good example of the hypebeast trend can be seen in Supreme. While not quite sneakers, Supreme was directly related to sneaker culture. The brand was popularized by Tyler the Creator, Odd Future, and skate culture. It became so trendy and so hyped that people were out there buying Supreme bricks and Supreme shovels and then reselling them for hundreds of dollars and sometimes thousands.
They wait in line for 3 or 4
Okay,
days
now this type of individual, I do not like. I think think I've already kind of touched on that, but if you buying stuff just to resell to people who do want the stuff, that's annoying, bro. That's really annoying.
For what?
You're probably gonna freak out when I show you what they're waiting for.
Please do.
Shovels, bricks.
Shovels and bricks.
We can only thank Supreme for making this their new shovel.
This is around the time when everybody and their mom was getting into streetwear or sneaker culture, all for the sake of the hype. Every celebrity was making their own shoe. You had Kanye with Yeezys, never mind the Red Octobers that he already made that were super hype, super rare, and dope. You had Pharrell with the Human Races, one of my...
Kanye's an anomaly though, because Kanye's been on this. I would say that Kanye brought retros back, like Jordan retros. Him and like Don C and all them, they were wearing them. They who made me want to get the Jordan. Pharrell, when they got to Pharrell's always... Actually, I take that back. He did pioneer sneaker culture too. So it makes sense that both of them kind of ushered in the new era because they were fans of the era and then they were famous and they had celebrity and influence that made it possible for them to even sell merch because Pharrell had Ice Cream, Pharrell had BBC. You know what I'm saying? That's a pinnacle of all of this stuff too. So
personal favorite.
I feel like him saying that like Kanye had a shoe and Pharrell had a shoe, I don't think it kind of gives them enough credit in my opinion.
Streetwear or sneaker culture, all for the sake of the hype. Every celebrity was making their own shoe. You had Kanye with Yeezys, never mind the Red Octobers that he already made.
He ain't even talking about the ones, bro.
Super rare and dope. You had Pharrell with the Human Races, one of my personal favorites from the hype era.
I didn't
you
like
had
these.
Travis Scott with the Travi Patty 4s and the Cactus Jackie Dunks. I don't know what the Dunks are called. I made that up. And the 4s too. They're not called the Travi Patties. And low-key, one of the most slept on sneakers, the OVO 12s by Drake and Jordan. I don't think it was really slept on at the time, but these were smooth. And retrospectively, this was a crazy time to be alive. Not only were massive celebrities collaborating with sneaker brands, streetwear brands like Supreme dropped an insane collab with Louis Vuitton, which brought the hypebeast era in streetwear to a whole new level. Need I even mention all of the sneakers that Off-White put out with Nike and Converse? Seriously, it was ridiculous how many collabs they had.
It's so interesting how we're at a point, even just like in general in culture, where like homage is like the wave. But this was like Virgil was making these in like 2017, almost 10 years ago, 2018, like you know what I'm saying? However many years ago that was. And now when you look at like the music and like how like fashion and stuff is, like we're very much so in like 2016 Tumblr like indie sleaze, even like earlier than that I would say. But it's interesting that like Virgil was on this almost a decade ago at this point, bro. R.I.P. Virgil.
It was an entire takeover of the pop culture. I mean, these collabs between all of these big names and brands resulted in hype never seen before. It was off the charts. SoundCloud Rap 2 was popping off at the time and everyone in it was wearing hypebeast stuff. And on top of all this, all of your favorite influencers and internet people were dripped out in hypebeast.
I knew that was going to be,
remember when
what's the dude's name? Rice Gum.
FaZe Banks and Rice Gum tried to make that fashion brand. And at the time I was watching a lot of Nadeshot because he was one of my favorite COD players.
Okay, let's see. This, I had these and then I had these Ultra Boosts. And I wanted these. I never really got into the NMDs because I felt like they were just like, well, if you can't get Yeezys, at least I can get the NMDs. I was like, nah, I want the Turtle Dove Yeezys and these Moon. I forget what these were called. But bro, this was a time. For real, this was a time. And this was all Adidas, bro. Adidas had a moment for real that they'll never, I ain't gonna say they'll never be able to do it, but they not gonna be able to do it, bro. It's a different time now. It's just different.
And next thing I know, he's doing this hypebeast sneaker collection videos on his channel. On top of this, Complex had that sneaker shopping series that I guess they still have, but back then they had people like Eminem, Ronaldo, Migos, literally everybody was on it. It felt like in every single facet of pop culture, sneaker culture, streetwear culture, and hypebeast stuff was everywhere. I mean, dude, there was this YouTuber who was huge back then called Blazendary, whose biggest video is wearing a crazy outfit on my first day of school. In parentheses, Supreme, Louis Vuitton, Gucci.
Today, I decided to bust out a $4,000 outfit for school just to see if I can get some reactions out of my friends and maybe even a teacher or two. We'll have to see. As you guys can see, I'm wearing the Supreme Louis Vuitton box logo along with 3 gold chains, a Louis Vuitton belt with Supreme boxers.
I used to want that belt.
And the Gucci snakes that I picked up for my birthday vlog. And you guys are gonna
The Gucci snake polo from this era, I would still wear that
be
today.
surprised for the kind of backpack I use for school. All I use is just a regular old Supreme Courier backpack.
And this got 14 million views. This entire time, the aftermarket was growing in accordance to the hype. As many of you may or may not remember, shoes and clothes from these brands in particular began to get very expensive.
Okay, I would say like when A$AP Rocky came out and he was like, it was less about like, he might have been the guy that like signified a turning point of the death of sneaker culture, because he might have been the first influencer that was like, sneakers are cool, but do you see this coat? You know what I mean? Like, do you see this fit? This is Rick, bro. Like, Rocky was the first one to do that. I think up until then, it was all about what's on your shoes, what kind of shoes you wearing. Let me know what y'all think though.
In 2013, Grailed was created, and in 2015, StockX and GOAT were created as well. There were others, but these were some of the main websites to buy and sell your stuff on, and everyone wanted to start reselling, myself included. I was about 14 years old, I think, when this stuff started popping off and I took notice. And like any 14-year-old at the time, I was infatuated with sneaker culture. I thought it was so cool. All my friends were getting cool shoes. I didn't have any money, so my brain immediately went to, I need to start flipping shoes like everyone else on the internet. So I bought my first pair of expensive sneakers ever when the Yeezy Zebras dropped, and I sold them for $300 profit on Twitter. I'll probably throw some pictures up on screen for you guys, but
profit,
you know what? My business went pretty well. I think I did all right. Now, I'm not very proud of being a reseller, or more realistically, a scalper, but I was also a kid, so don't tear my head off. I only did it with like 15 pairs of shoes. I didn't have a lot of money back then, but I did do this for a little on a small scale, buying and selling various shoes and reselling them on my buy sell trade Instagram page or my Twitter. Actually, I think the Twitter I use right now is what I started it for sneakers. However, I think my experience as a reseller is important for this video because it kind of shows how things went south in sneaker culture. I was doing it at such a small scale, buying only a pair or two of sneakers every time there was a hype drop. And I joined the community at the end of it though, because the already experienced resellers who were older and had much more capital were about to take over. Yeezys by Kanye West and Adidas were undoubtedly the most hype shoe you could buy at the time. The 350 V1s were like diamonds, very rare and very expensive, and the V2s were like gold. And people were rushing to buy the new V2s every time they dropped like it was a modern day gold rush. Quickly, people began to create bot programs and bots to buy shoes on releases quicker than any human with 10.
I used to watch stuff like this and I would be like, bro, like, I just want to buy this shoe. I'm not trying to make money off of all of this. Interestingly enough though, like, I will say that this, like, looking at these kind of videos kind of led me, because this is like back when I was like in college, and so like a lot of this stuff kind of helped with like, you know, like IT experience. It's a rabbit hole I'm not gonna get down, but yeah, this was an interesting time.
And computers could, because back then you had to wait in a queue. So what I would do is I'd set up my computer, I'd set up my laptop, I'd grab everyone in my house's phone, and I pull up the Yeezy website on every device, multiple tabs, and wait and hope I got in on one tab. But when the bots came, there was nothing you could do. If you didn't have bots, you were pretty much out of luck. Not only that, but some people were buying up all the supply of all the shoes in the aftermarket, paying the premiums, and then just controlling the price because they had so much capital to begin with. I remember going to the bathroom every Thursday at school at like 10 a.m. trying to catch the Supreme drop just for it to be sold out in 5 seconds. Like, it was impossible to compete with bots.
I feel like that was part of the culture, right? Like for me, that was just part of the experience.
Physical outside.
The physical outside, waiting in the cold on December 23rd when the Space Jams came out, I lined up.
Hey, bro, that's how people were getting robbed, though. Like, I'm glad I was not part of this culture, because people were getting killed over them shoes, bro.
14 hours in like.
But you see how like people, it's so interesting when people talk about things they're like nostalgic about, and how like after it changes, it's almost like a badge of honor to like. Look how he's like, yeah, like I stood in line to get these shoes in the cold. Like I struggle for these, and it's like, bro, like. Respectfully, nobody cares. Like, we just want to get the shoe as easily as possible. No disrespect to him, but it's like, it's just funny seeing, like, I'm pretty sure I'll probably do this one day. Like, yeah, like, I remember when I used to make YouTube videos, I used to have to record myself talking into a mic. Now, you can just scan your face and then type up a prompt and an AI will make it. Like, I used to have to edit. But, like, you know, it's just what happens, I guess, with technology and stuff. But, yeah.
2-degree weather.
Did you get the shoe?
I did. Then when it transitions everything online and I couldn't get anything unless you had a bot.
Bots,
I didn't have the bots. People were investing thousands of dollars on bots. It kind of like pushed people like me out of the community because I wasn't doing it for a resale. I wasn't doing it to sell my sneakers.
I relate to this though. I 100% feel
I was
right.
doing it because I wanted the sneaker. I wanted to wear them. I wanted to show them off when I was around my friends.
Resellers who previously were casually buying sneakers and reselling them time to time for fun or
Need
for
those.
occasional profit were now operating and treating sneakers as a full-time business. This is at
I
a
think Benjamin Kicks was like the reseller. I don't know if it came out that he was selling fakes or not. I feel like I saw that. I'm not gonna say he made his career off of selling fakes though. I don't know that to be true. But regardless, he was like the first person I saw doing this, like posting stuff like this, and I was just like, what? Like, bro, I'm never gonna get a pair of shoes if these kind of people are just buying up everything. Like it really like blew my mind. Then there was like that Nike executive that like their kid got them caught up because they were using their credit card or something to buy all the shoes.
Or a hustler flexing how much they made and telling you can pay them to learn the ways. This is also around the time that dropshipping gurus started popping up, like the Ty Lopez.
So this is like the beginning of grifting. And then I said earlier that the sneaker bot bros end up becoming crypto bros, but then before they were crypto bros, they were dropshipping bros. And then me personally, this is when I hopped off the porch. Because I used to drop shit, and I guess it is like a progression. And I did go through a crypto phase, and now I'm on YouTube. All right, self-awareness is key.
Era. And I remember people on Twitter were even selling these things called jigs where you could get stuff for free basically. Regardless, the whole community, especially people my age in high school, started to resell shoes. And it began to get so competitive that it was one of the main things that ruined sneaker culture. Resellers went too far. Everyone was trying to do it, even myself. Again, I don't think I was a big part of the problem though. I only sold like 15 pairs of shoes and I was a kid, but hey, it wasn't the best thing I've ever done. Resellers had always been a part of sneaker culture, and I don't think there was really a problem with them for the first few decades, as the market seemed more organic. But as sneaker popularity was astroturfed in the hype era, many people, including young, dumb, impressionable kids like 14-year-old me, saw it as an opportunity to make money and be just like their
I feel like this is so like, it was so like, I can't explain how lame I think this is. I think like showing it off and flexing it like this was probably the like worst part about it all, because it's like, you're just basically, it's like a middle finger to the people who want to buy from you, because we're all on the same internet. We all want the shoes. If your algorithm is sneakers, you're gonna see people like this, and it's gonna piss you off, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's gonna like make you feel a type of way, because it's like, I don't know, bro. Let me know what y'all think though. Let me know if I'm in the minority on this.
Celebrity, artist, or influencer who is flexing, balling,
I'm hating for sure.
All this dope ass streetwear. It got to a point where all of the
Fit pigs don't piss me off. Resellers posting a bunch of boxes of shoes definitely pisses me off.
Interest was artificially inflated.
But you know, get your money, bro. Like I still can't hate, because like I said, I was drop shipping. I was doing all of the. I was that. I guess I'm just being. I don't know. Like I said, I'm being facetious about it.
To the point where the market was mostly just resellers buying and trading to resell, not even selling to people anymore. I think a good example of how scummy resellers began to get is when they tried to take advantage of Kobe's death. According to an article on ESPN, in January of 2020, Nike had to quickly remove all of its Kobe Bryant related products from the shelves to stop people from profiting off of his death. And they weren't even able to do it successfully because sneakers and memorabilia prices were hiked by 200 to 300% on resale sites within 24 hours.
I don't know what's wrong with this though. Like, why is this an issue? Because Kobe Bryant obviously had a legacy to the point where the demand for his stuff went up. Like, if like I don't know. I feel like as much as I don't like resellers, I think this was a weird thing to do, because it's like it's supply and demand. I don't know. For Nike to be like, okay, like I don't know. All right, whatever. Let me know what's up there.
Thanks to resellers, the middle class of the sneaker economy could no longer afford to buy the shoes. And for the most part, it was either big resellers trading with one another or selling to celebrities or selling to rich people who could afford it. But then the bubble burst.
Does anyone want to explain why shoes are literally just dying right now? I own a sneaker store.
Brother, I guarantee you, if I go in that store and if I went in this store back then and look at the bottom of like those pair of fours right there, those are probably bread. Maybe not, but I guarantee you those are probably going for like $200-300 at the very least. That's why they're dying. I remember I went into I forget what mall it was in Atlanta, but I was trying to get the Black Cat 3s, and on eBay they were retailing for like, I don't know, not retailing for resale. This was like summer 2025. 205. I was trying to get them for like under 250. And so I found them in an actual like brick and mortar in the mall. Cause I was like, you know what? If I can just be like, hey, like I see that they're for this much on eBay, but if I can get them for a little bit cheaper or this same price and I just don't have to wait, then I'll do that. But I went into the store, they were charging like $350 for a pair of black cement 3s, bro. Get out of my face.
And we've been struggling for the last couple months. And y'all can say, oh, it's because you overprice things.
Yes.
And I know what you're going to say. Oh, it's a Yeezy. You're overpricing it. It's $110. Retails like 2 something. Market's like 190. I'm pricing it at 110.
Well, okay. I don't know what year this is. Okay. Maybe. All right. Let me give them some. All right. I'm gonna chill.
And it's brand new. An off-white lot dunk, which you haven't been able to get for 4 years now. Used to be going for $500 to $600. Market's like $400. We have them priced at $320.
Where is this? Because I need to go there.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I made a decent amount of money reselling sneakers, but I got so many pairs that never sold. And some of these inventory hasn't just been sitting for 6 months, a year, 2 years. Some of these inventory has been sitting for 3+ years. And at this point, I don't even know what to do. Like this dunk right here, the ones that you guys are seeing right now, I had them for over 561 days. Like guys, how is that even possible? Like,
why'd you buy those? Expecting to flip.
At first, sneaker reselling caused the death of sneaker culture. The resellers made shoes unattainable for the everyday sneakerhead. However, as we saw in those clips and the intro, prices for a lot of these shoes have dropped drastically. Resellers are going broke. So why are prices dropping so hard, and why are people no longer interested in sneaker culture or hype culture like they used to be? Well, a big reason was because there ended up being too much supply. And this is also thanks to the resellers. They just ruined all of it, didn't they? Sneaker companies...
But like even that argument though, it's like if the demand was here and the supply was here, then if the demand goes here or even here, it seems like there's too much supply. But the real problem, in my opinion, is demand, because that's really the only thing that really changed. Because they were producing, you know what I'm saying, sneakers at such a pace to keep up with the demand, or be slightly under it, you know what I'm saying, as they should. But the demand just drastically decreased suddenly. Let's see if he touches on like why it happened.
Wanted to fight back against resellers, and to do this, they flooded the market, which made it nearly impossible for shoes to be hoarded. Nike was one of the major players in this. To combat resellers, especially with the Panda Dunks and Jordan 1s, Nike drastically increased volume on these popular models, leading to market oversaturation and a significant drop in resale prices.
Is there one dunk that is still selling heavy from...
Okay, this is true for certain silhouettes of shoes. I will say that.
Past?
Nope.
Really?
Are Panda Dunks still selling?
They're dead.
Panda
Really?
Dunks are
dead.
Panda Dunks are officially dead.
I got offered wholesale for $50. Nobody's buying them. You can't even sell them at retail.
Nike moved away from the extreme scale.
It's because they were overpriced to begin with. And then two, Panda Dunks, even though people were like paying as much as they were paying for them, like I said, they're overpriced, but Panda Dunks are kind of like, for a moment, they were like the Converse, they were like the Nike's Chuck Taylor, or like that, you know, the Vans old school low top, like that kind of, that's what they were for a minute. And then I guess the hype around them died. I know like in my hometown in Athens, which is like a college town, they were trying to get a pair of Panda Dunks off for like $250, $300, and people were paying them, I guess, which is crazy. But I don't know, everybody makes dumb purchases, but you can't keep up that kind of, I don't know, supply for that kind of shoe. Like that was a moment, not what do you call it? That was a moment in time, not a long-term thing.
Scarcity model to maximize direct to consumer sales, which undermined the get rich quick model for resellers. On top of this, the pace at which drops came to the market became completely unsustainable. Beforehand, more exclusive drops drove demand through the roof, but over time they ended up releasing new sneakers almost every single week, whether it be a new colorway, a new model, a slightly different colorway change, a re-release of an old colorway. They were just spam releasing shoes, making the sneaker market as a whole feel irrelevant, since no one needs or even wants that much stuff. And this struggle to find a happy balance between supply and demand isn't new.
You got to touch on the fact that fakes are just way better now, bro.
Either.
Like
this is going back decades, with the early 2000s market looking completely different from how it did at its peak. Early on, size runs were low, often obnoxiously to the point where everyone spent most of their time on forums complaining about the impossibility of finding a decent pair. A run of 24 to 36 pairs was not uncommon, but 500 to 1,000 was more likely. This period was all about creating something cool to stimulate the growing global community of footwear obsessives. In response to all the complaining, Nike, amongst other brands, produced more, a lot more. So what they originally...
And then I would even say, like, I have no insight on this, like, I'm not an insider or anything, but I would even say that like when they made certain shoes, they were not made to be like, you know how like they'll come out with a shoe that's so hard to get and then that shoe sells out, and then they'll come out with like a similar shoe that they make more of. I guess that's a more general release. So it went from like them making a coveted shoe, like a limited shoe, and that being like a limited run, and then they made like a clone, like a knockoff of that same shoe from the same brand, by the way. I guess it flipped, and that's another reason. There's so many reasons why this stuff happened.
Only sold as exclusive became extremely and maybe too accessible. And I believe that to a degree, rarity and exclusivity is nice. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to walk outside and see everyone wearing the exact same pair of shoes that I'm wearing. It got to a point where Jordan 1s were about as accessible as Nike Roches. Do you guys remember those? Those were like, that's crazy. But this didn't just happen with Nike. Kanye's Yeezy brand famously partnered with Adidas in 2014, and as I explained, they absolutely blew up.
His pre-tax income was 150 million over the past year, mostly to his Yeezy shoes. I know he missed getting that bag.
Then Kanye started his whole Twitter rant and anti-Semitism stuff, which is obviously not a good look for Adidas, no matter how well.
Ironically, bro, I would say that like Kanye is so interesting because like he was doing the wildest stuff and saying the wildest stuff, but that would actually make what he was doing sell more. More people would care about it. And that, to me, that was like his incentive. Obviously, you know, he has like his mental health stuff going on, but I would even say like him doing certain things or like releasing things, like releasing songs and saying certain things in a song or being like inflammatory was actually making the shoes more popping, which is kind of nuts because like that's why he lost the deal.
The shoes were selling. I remember he even said Adidas won't cancel my contract, and then they did, which was kind of funny. As
he
a
went too
result,
far.
Came a pretty hefty and publicized
because he said some stuff about some people. So,
feud over how
about a very specific group of people
were going to work out in the split, and after a long legal battle following the cut ties in 2022, an agreement was finally reached. Adidas chief executive Bjorn Gulden told reporters, without giving any details of the agreement away, that there aren't any more open issues and there is no money going either way. Ending the partnership in 2022 left Adidas with unwanted Yeezy stock worth some 1.2 billion pounds, including shoes and other goods.
Wow.
To combat this inventory problem, Adidas planned to sell off all the remaining inventory by the end of 2024. Since Yeezys were pretty much the thing in the sneakerhead and hypebeast game, a huge influx of new and cheap product wrecked the exclusive market. Plus, they re-released tons of old Yeezy models that sneakerheads thought could never be re-released, diluting the previously successful market. Adidas and Yeezy were already kind of doing what Nike was doing before Kanye ruined his relationship with Adidas, but once they decided to sell off the stock, it was GG's, completely disorienting the current supply and demand.
So he still did. They still did. I guess, I mean, it's his likeness, but they still hit 700 million, bro. Seeing all the stuff that Kanye's doing now, I would not be surprised if he partners either back up with them or another company. Like, I don't know if it will be Nike, but as somebody who's like ordered from his current, like I've bought like some stuff from just Yeezy and like the customer service terrible. Like I ordered something, I don't think I ever got it. So like I would like to see him partner up with another brand that can help with the logistics of this stuff. No disrespect. Yeah, I still want my pants and I still want the jacket that I ordered, but I don't know. Maybe I got an email from customer service. Anyways,
sell off the stock, it was GG's, completely disorienting the current supply and demand structure. So after resellers priced everyone out, the pendulum swung right back, and so many sneakers released it overwhelmed everyone to the point where they didn't care. The companies themselves weren't so innocent in all of this either. StockX, one of the biggest platforms for reselling, was actually sued by Nike for various reasons, including the fact that they were selling counterfeit shoes. This had always been a big controversy with StockX, and if you're in the sneaker community, you would know that tons of people would record videos trying to get fake shoes through their verification system, which is what they were known for, and StockX actually lost the lawsuit. But Nike and its associates aren't perfect either. Nike executive Ann Hebert or whatever left the company after her son allegedly used corporate issued credit cards to buy $132,000 worth of shoes. Apparently he only made like 20K profit, which is crazy. But as I'm sure many of you can imagine, a lot of people assume that she was the one helping him backdoor the shoes so that they could skim some money off the top, and then if she ever got caught, she could blame it on her son. She then became the CEO of Foot Locker, with Redditors commenting things like, "Smart, why limit yourself to backdooring just one brand?" But there were also two other reasons that sneaker culture died. One of which is that fashion simply moved on. I mean, can you picture someone wearing something like this these days? Along with the financial side and exclusivity pressure placed on hypebeast fashion, the trends just moved on to something else like they always do, which Off-White's creator, the late and great Virgil, predicted before his death, saying in an interview, "I would definitely say it's gonna die, you know? Like, its time will be up. Overall, as a broad vein of fashion, streetwear has lost its definition. As RB Lee, the vice president for content strategy at Hypebeast, said, I can't even define it anymore. It's not that people have grown tired of streetwear's building blocks, it's that those hoodies and sneakers and t-shirts have become so absorbed by high fashion that the line between streetwear and fashion has pretty much disappeared. It has simply become the platform on which the whole system stands, said Demna, the creative director at Balenciaga. A big point of the lifestyle shoes and the streetwear fashion was to be like anti-establishment, but when everyone started wearing it, it's kind of like that is establishment now, especially when high fashion started collaborating with streetwear brands. Vogue
yeah,
Business
this is
also
kind of how
reported-
everything is. Like anything that has like grassroots beginnings always ends up becoming corporate and then becoming the machine itself. Like, I think the same thing is happening with like underground music and like rage, really music in general, but specifically the underground movement. But let me see how much longer. All right, we got like
that sneaker demand has practically nosedived. Tons of people started opting towards higher fashion focused show choices, like with the current trend of boots. Many have even pointed to the nail in the sneakerhead coffin being when Trump announced his own pair of sneakers on the campaign trail.
Trump's first stop at a sneaker convention in Philadelphia.
I've never even seen Trump wear these.
Seeing some boos from the audience.
It's a slightly different audience than I'm used to, but I love this audience.
This
we have to go out and vote. We got to get young people out to vote.
The whole idea of sneakers has become so insanely commercialized that the industry and its expectations are completely warped.
The
And
Trump
on top of
ones
this,
are
I mean,
crazy,
just try to
bro.
picture people wearing the Hypebeast shoes and clothes these days. I mean, you can't. Fashion has simply changed. I mean, dad shoes are back, neutral colors are back. People aren't going out in bright red Supreme fits anymore. However, in the end, it wasn't just changing fashion trends that killed sneaker culture. My fourth main reason comes down to simple economics, especially following a post-pandemic economy where everything is expensive. I mean, eggs are getting too damn pricey, so why would I pay a bunch of money for some fancy shoes? A longtime sneaker fan said on a forum, as a 13-year collector,
He's
I
pretty
have
much like said most of the points I've said. I'm waiting on him to talk about fakes.
to say yes, the sneaker culture sucks now. You can't even buy the kicks you want without going above and beyond and out of your way. I think it's officially time to throw in the towel. Because of resellers, most sneakerheads were priced out of the game.
Bro, it's easier than ever to get the stuff you want now, though. I don't know if I agree with that.
And all at a time for where money was already tight. The industry has done its best to stay relevant with younger generations, but with disposable income for many people seemingly drying up, it doesn't seem like it's working too well. Even though sneaker prices have come back down a little bit, retail is still pretty expensive. Nowadays, a lot of would-be sneaker buyers are leaning more towards experiences over material purchases. Plus, most people working regular jobs that have some money saved up also have side hustles, and they don't want to waste that money.
I was gonna say people just don't want to spend that on sneakers. Like, I think because what I just looked up earlier, it was like $65 in 1985 is the same as $198 today. Granted, there's $50 more for like a retail like Nike, like Jordan or whatever today, so $250. But I would say like people just don't want to spend that much on shoes because there's other stuff to buy. As you get older, you got, you know what I'm saying, people got cars. Have y'all seen the average car payment on a brand new car? You know what I mean? People got mortgages, people got other things they want to pay for. Then people want to get drip. You know what I'm saying? It ain't just about the shoes now. Somebody will spend more on their fit and then throw on a pair of Vans or Converse, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can get away with not throwing on like sneakers or something, like some heat on your feet if your fit is tough. So like, priorities have just shifted, if you ask me.
On sneakers. Real world problems popped up left and right, which made the average household budget a lot more tight.
Do you feel like there are a lot less resale shops now?
A lot of shops have shut down.
Yeah.
That's only because of Nike. It's because of like the whole, economy. People don't have the same amount of money, right, to spend on sneakers as freely they did 5 years ago. Your bills go up, Easy Pass goes up, tolls go up, gas goes up. Your pay doesn't go up as much drastically.
This is gonna be my next pair of shoes though. These fives right here.
As your bills go up. So people are just generally spending a little lesser than they used to.
No one has time or money to care anymore, and I think that's pretty apparent. I mean, wearing a fake pair of shoes used to be the worst thing ever, and now I doubt anyone would bat an eye if I wore a pair of Yeezy Reps. By the way, speaking of that, I've been looking for a good rep website. If any of you guys out there know, let me know in the comments. Top voted one I will use, because I want some rep shoes. Because there's no point in paying full price for a pair of shoes that are overpriced, and the reps are just about as good quality anyway. I don't care. Regardless, sneaker culture itself isn't fully dead, but thanks to resellers, a massive supply, changes in fashion, and a terrible economy, sneaker culture is nowhere near what it used to be. On the bright side though,
I called it. I'm 3 for 3, bro. I called it.
This is a good thing, since resellers can no longer afford to ruin everything for everybody else.
I never liked the D's, bro. These, what are these called? These look like, for some reason, they made me think about Bugs Bunny and Space Jam.
That means at least passionate collectors can somewhat afford to collect the shoes they dreamed of. On a similar reminiscent note, you may also remember Kids Bop from your childhood as well, and you might be surprised to know that that also is still around to this day. And if you're curious how that's even possible, make sure to click the video that's on screen.
Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hey, let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Like, this is a pretty good reaction. I called out, or I've kind of predicted, you know, what the reasons were. But if y'all think of any other reasons, let me know. I'm pretty sure there's like a ton of them out there that I didn't think of. But like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch y'all in the next video. I'm out. Peace.